Let's get it started here. Bucky Brooks, mock draft 1.0 for the 2021 draft class. First pick, go.
Jacksonville Jaguars select Trevor Lawrence, quarterback from Clemson.
On second and goal, Lawrence keeps it, tries to get the edge, chased by Browning, dive, touchdown Tigers.
I think this is a no-brainer. Urban Meyer only comes out of retirement to get the number one overall pick and the quarterback that he thinks can revive a franchise. Trevor Lawrence is that guy. They welcome him to Duval, and they start a rebuild right away with a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence working right now with our buddy Jordan Palmer here too, getting ready for the draft process. And really, I'm sure in short order, we'll start trying to learn this Urban Meyer playbook and what that's going to look like there. So to me, that's a no-brainer. He's the first pick. What do you got happening now with the Jets? This is where the draft starts, Buck.
Oh, this is where the draft starts, and this is where the controversy starts. I'm going to go with the Jets taking Justin Fields.
Drops back, has a man wide open. It's Rucker, 2 touchdowns.
And I think this is going to be really the major debate that we have the entire pre-draft process. Is it Justin Fields? Is it Zach Wilson? In this scenario, I'm just saying Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh, maybe they want to build a little bit of a new school offense with some of the stuff that they're bringing over from San Francisco. Maybe they opt for the athlete, Justin Fields, over Zach Wilson. But man, it's going to be a hot and heavy discussion the entire process.
Yeah, it's where the draft starts. And what does that mean? I mean, do they have to try and look at Sam Darnold and compare him to these quarterbacks in the draft? If they can't get something that they love for Sam Darnold in terms of draft pick compensation, I could see them sticking with Sam Darnold and let him play for one more year while also having somebody like a Justin Fields ready to go. So it gives you another year to evaluate Sam Darnold. Maybe that stock goes up and you have a decision to make. But a lot of different ways the Jets can go. All right, how about number 3, Buck?
Man, the Miami Dolphins have a tough choice to make because they need to add a weapon to Tua Tagovailoa. I'm going to go with Jamar Chase, wide receiver from LSU. And I know out of sight, out of mind, it's easy to forget about him.
Burrow throws over the top, and he's got it. Touchdown, Jamar Chase.
But when you turn on the tape, man, you see a dominant player. The size, to me, is why you lean for him over some of the other options at 3. I think being able to put Jamar Chase on the field opposite DeVonta Parker, then you have 2 bigger body wide receivers that can take it down the field. I think this helps Tua Tagovailoa become the player that we thought he would become last year when he was selected.
Yeah, run after catch, too, what he gives you. If you're going to have 2 as your quarterback, you need guys that can really make magic happen. He's going to get the ball out quick, a lot of slants, a lot of quick hitters. What can you do after the catch? I love Jamar Chase. All right, keep it rolling.
The Atlanta Falcons, Zach Wilson, quarterback from BYU. Matt Ryan is going to be there for 2021, but it's time to get the heir apparent. In Zach Wilson, you get a guy with more firepower, more athleticism to step into this offense when it's all ready to go with Arthur Smith. And Arthur Smith's experience dealing with an athletic quarterback, first in Marcus Mariota, but second in Ryan Tannehill, I think that enables him to get the best out of Zach Wilson. I think Zach Wilson could be a star down the road in Atlanta.
I'd give you a year or 2 to bulk up a little bit. I think he finished the year at 211 last year at BYU. I'd see if he get to that 217, 218 type range, just put a little bit more on his body. Durability, my only concern with this dude, man. He can sling it. All right, how about 5?
The Cincinnati Bengals, let's go with Penei Sewell, offensive tackle from Oregon. And this is one where I think the Cincinnati Bengals are a team that traditionally sticks to the board. Whatever you've heard about top prospects throughout the offseason, they tend to go with. Penei Sewell has been talked about for a year and a half as being a top offensive tackle. Given the injury to Joe Burrow, I think they lean towards the offensive tackle, and I think Sewell is their pick.
Huge upside, absolutely huge upside. And you think about the Cincinnati Bengals going back to the previous generation, think about Anthony Munoz and what he brought to the table. I don't think he's in that class, Buck, but you're hoping he develops to get somewhere close to that to protect Joe Burrow going forward. All right, this is an interesting one here. How about the Philadelphia Eagles?
All right, so the Philadelphia Eagles are all in. They want to revive and resuscitate Carson Wentz's career. So let's do it by adding more weapons. And contrary to popular belief, it's not a wide receiver, but how about a pass catcher in Kyle Pitts from Florida?
Trask downfield, and with that, here is Pitts. Run, young man, run. Touchdown, Gators.
The reason it's a surprise is because, well, what don't they already have tight ends? They have Dallas Goedert. He's ready to take over for Zach Ertz if he leaves. But man, Kyle Pitts is a playmaker, and I think he is one of those guys that you just figured out. You take him, whether he's your hybrid wide receiver or tight end, he just makes the game easy because all the things you need to do over the middle of the field, he can do it. I think you see Carson Wentz improve because now he's throwing it inside the numbers instead of pushing it outside the numbers.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see what happens at the quarterback position. We're thinking that Carson Wentz is back. I don't think anything's guaranteed. That could indicate which way they go here, too. Do they look at this as a little bit of a rebuilding process, or do they think they can get this thing turned around in a year? Kyle Pitts, to me, one of the 3 best players in the draft, so I love the talent, no question. All right, how about Detroit?
Detroit, all in on Jared Goff for the next 2 years. So because they're all in, let's get them a playmaker. They don't have any wide receivers. Their top receivers on the contract
here, Buck.
Yeah,
no quarterback.
So let's go Jaylen Waddle, wide receiver from Alabama. And I know everyone's like, what about DeVonta Smith? Hop on the tape and remind yourself or refamiliarize yourself with Jaylen Waddle. Jaylen Waddle is an explosive playmaker, guy that can take it, the top off the defense, can score from anywhere on the field. If you're rebuilding this offense and you rebuild them with the future in mind, you want to put some playmakers on the field because that's the way the game is going.
He's the fastest player in college football who also is going to juice up your return game as well. All right, how about Carolina?
The Carolina Panthers have hinted at wanting a new quarterback to kind of get the program going under Matt Rule. Trey Lance, quarterback from North Dakota State. The reason Trey Lance works here is because you still have Teddy Bridgewater under contract. He's still guaranteed enough money where you can keep him as the bridge quarterback. And depending upon when Trey Lance is ready, you can then hand him the keys to the franchise. I think this is a win-win scenario for the Carolina Panthers. They get the quarterback of the future while having a bridge quarterback help him along the way.
Yeah, I think that's a no-brainer. I like that move. All right, 9.
The Denver Broncos, when we talk about it, you have to build your team to stop the Kansas City Chiefs. And so you got to get playmakers on the island. Patrick Surtain from Alabama. Vic Fangio knows he has to have someone that can cover Tyreek Hill and these guys that the Kansas City Chiefs throw out there. To me, Patrick Surtain is a little more refined than Caleb Farley. I like him, but I can see either one of these guys being off the board at number 9.
Yeah, it's a good debate between those two guys. Well, you don't have to wait long if you're Caleb Farley. You got him going with the next pick here.
If it's the Dallas Cowboys, they couldn't stop anybody in the passing game. So you need to find a way to get this done. Remember, Dan Quinn comes over as the defensive coordinator. He wants to play with those long, rangy corners. I think Caleb Farley is a perfect fit in this style of defense. He's tough. He's athletic. Does a great job getting his hands on the ball. I think he has a chance to be a guy that we talked about for a long time as a shutdown corner.
Yeah, I love him. I love his game, the physicality and the ball awareness and ball skills down the field. All right, let's rip through 11 through 15 here, Buck. What do you got? 11 through 15.
Here we go. Number 11, the New York Giants take Gregory Rousseau, edge rusher from Miami. At 12, the San Francisco 49ers take Jaycee Horn, cornerback from South Carolina. At 13, the Los Angeles Chargers get a little help for Justin Herbert. Rashawn Slater, offensive tackle from Northwestern. At 14, the Minnesota Vikings, Kwity Paye, edge rusher from Michigan. And at 15, the New England Patriots take Michael Parsons, linebacker from Penn State.
I want to hit on 2 of those guys real quick. The Giants will be interesting to see what they do in free agency because they've talked about getting some toys and some weapons offensively. Their track record has always been to go big guys. So that's Greg Rousseau here, probably the best edge rusher in this year's draft class. So that makes sense historically from a Dave Gettleman standpoint. But, man, they've talked about wanting to get some skill on offense. That will be definitely going back to what they've traditionally believed versus what they're saying now. And the last one, Jaycee Horn. To me, when you look at the Niners, some age there in the secondary, need to get younger, a little more athletic in that group. I like the Jaycee Horn pick.
Yeah, Jaycee Horn gives them something that they're losing Richard Sherman. You don't know if Verrett is going to be able to come back. You get Jaycee Horn, a young, dynamic player. I think he has the juice that you want on the perimeter. All right, 16 through 20. 16, the Arizona Cardinals, DeVonta Smith from Alabama.
First and goal, Jones on the run, and it's just too easy for DeVonta Smith.
This is what you need. If you're those guys, you have to kind of figure out a way to get it done. At 17, Las Vegas Raiders, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, linebacker from Notre Dame. At 18, Najee Harris, running back from Alabama. At 19, the Washington football team, they get their quarterback of the future in Mac Jones from Alabama. And at 20, the Bears, Elijah Vera Tucker, offensive guard tackle from University of Southern California.
Yeah, a couple of those picks are interesting to me. DeVonta Smith dropping a little bit, but we've talked about that with the frame. That could cause him to slide a little bit. Man, talk about having a receiving core there in Arizona. Goodness gracious, that'd be fun to watch. And then the other one I think is fascinating is just Mac Jones going to Washington. I'm curious to see where he ultimately ends up. I have him kind of more in that second round, Buck. But, man, accurate, efficient, great decision maker. You love the work ethic. All the intangibles are off the charts. The question is just, is there enough? Is there enough juice, in his arm and in his legs to warrant that?
Yeah, I think this is like the safe pick. When you talk about Ron Rivera and what they want to do in Washington with their franchise, they want guys that are cultural fits. And Mac Jones, his work ethic, his intangibles, he's all those things that they talk about. And also, just know this. I mean, the Washington football team, they love Alabama players. They haven't turned down an Alabama player when they've had a chance. I think Mac Jones becomes the next Alabama player to come off the board in the first round for the Washington.
All right, that's a good point there, Buck. All right, let's go 21 through 25.
Indianapolis Colts, Christian Darrisaw, offensive tackle from Virginia Tech. 22, the Tennessee Titans, Azeez Ojulari, edge rusher from Georgia. At 23, New York Jets take Travis Etienne, running back from Clemson. 24, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Nick Bolton, linebacker from Missouri. And at 25, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Christian Barmore, defensive tackle from Alabama.
I like what you did here. Darrisaw to the Colts makes sense. You lose your left tackle to retirement. With Costanzo, you go ahead and replace him right here with the 21st pick. They do that with Christian Darrisaw. All right, how about 26 through 30?
26, the Cleveland Browns take Xavier Collins, linebacker from Tulsa. 27, the Baltimore Ravens take one of the, I think he's underrated, Jalen Phillips, defensive lineman from Miami. He is someone that I am fascinated by. I can't wait to talk about him. 28, the New Orleans Saints take Trevor Lawrence, safety from TCU. At 29, the Green Bay Packers take Jalen Mayfield, offensive lineman from Michigan. And at 30, the Buffalo Bills take Carlos Boogie Basham, edge rusher from Wake Forest.
Yeah, and I think Jalen Mayfield can play right tackle for the Packers. I think he'd also slide inside and play some guard. They have a really good offensive line, especially when they get Bakhtiari back, get him healthy. But continuing to add to that group, I'm all in on that one. I think he's a really, really good football player. Well, Buck, that leaves us with just 2 picks left here. We've got 31 and 32. What do you got?
31, the Kansas City Chiefs take Kadarius Toney, wide receiver from Florida. And at 32, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Joseph Asai, edge rusher from the University of Texas.
Yeah, the Bucs coming off a Super Bowl win, get themselves an edge rusher there out of Texas. But I want to go to Kansas City. I love that pick for them. Kadarius Toney, even more firepower. Somebody that if you can get creative offensively with the Chiefs are as good as anybody at doing that. Use him in the slot, use him outside, throw him in the backfield if you want. He'd be great there with Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy.